Welcome to Aman Jaiswal's YouTube channel. In this series of videos on the photo shooting menu, my last video was about color space, sRGB, all the way up to vignette control. This video has some very useful functions that you as a photographer will use quite a lot to improve the quality of your photographs. But before we come to the functions that you use a lot, let's look at the flicker reduction. You know, when we shoot in an incandescent or fluorescent lights, these will flicker at 60 Hz or 50 Hz depending on where in the world you are. And because of that flicker, what's like to happen from one picture to the next might be lighter or darker because it's catching the flicker. It's catching the flicker at the wrong time. If you keep the flicker reduction on in the menu, that will help to compensate for that flicker, which you might not be able to actually see with your eyes. This then allows you to take exposure that there are more even. Now let's look at the metering options. The Nikon Z7ii has several light metering options. These allow you to choose one most suited for your shots. Let's see these options. First is the matrix metering. This uses the entire scene and scientifically analyzes it and chooses the exposure that it sees fit to expose the entire scene. This provides results close to that scene by the naked eye. The second metering option is center weighted metering. This option puts more priority on the center of the frame. So whatever is there in the middle, it will use as a reference more than the rest of the frame. It still uses the entire frame but references the center a little more. Please remember, if you want, you can select the center area using the custom setting. This is the best one to use for portraits and also is recommended when you're using filters with the exposure factor of over 1. The third metering option is spot metering. And as its name suggests, it uses the spot center on the current focus point, making it possible to meter off center subjects, meaning that if the subject is not in the center, and you can choose that spot and use it to meter the light. Spot metering ensures that the subject will be correctly exposed even if the background is much darker or brighter. Okay, so the fourth metering method is highlight weighted metering. This still uses the focus point as a reference for metering, but it also takes into account the brightest area of the scene. It assigns the greatest weights to the highlights. This option should be used when we want to reduce the loss of details in highlights. For example, when we are photographing a spotlit performer on the stage. Okay, now when we have talked about the metering and we all use flashes at some point of the time or the other, let's look at the different flash modes that we have. The first and the most commonly used is a fill flash. That is what should be used when you want to eliminate the scene from the flash. In the P and A modes, the shutter speed will automatically set the values between 1/200 of a second or 1/60th of a second. In the next option for the flash, you may want to choose a red eye reduction. Red eye reduction is very useful, especially while taking portraits. When we use red eye reduction before the flash fires, the red eye reduction light of the camera lights up to reduce the red eye and then the flash fires. This option is not recommended to be used with moving objects or when we have a need for a quick shutter speed. In this, the flash fires just before the shutter closes. This helps to create the effect of a stream of light behind the moving light sources. This setting cannot be used with a studio flash system because the correct synchronization cannot be obtained. And the last option is of course that you can switch off the flash and do photography without actually using the flash. Now there is something more useful called the flash compensation. This is used to alter the flash output from -3 eV to +1 eV in increments by 1/3 eV. This helps to change the brightness of the subject related to the background. The flash output can be increased to make the subject look brighter or reduced to prevent unwarranted highlight. Choose positive values to make a subject brighter and negative to make it look dark. We have almost come to the end of the photo shooting menu, and I have put a lot of videos for all the functions which are there in this menu. I am thinking I will look for another function in my menu in my camera, and next time you will see something more interesting from another menu. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon so that when I upload my next video you can get notified, and please do not forget to comment.